What's up, y'all? Welcome to The Real Word. This is the third season, episode 23. Shout out to everybody that's been watching. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting. Shout out to everybody that has helped us to get this far so far. Shout out to our special guest. Introduce yourself, gentlemen.
Hi, how you doing, Real Word? This is Emmanuel Duvivier, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Rickard, for having me.
My name is Caleb, and I'm glad to be back.
So shout out to our guests. If you remember their faces, they're from season 2. So shout out to everybody that's watching tonight. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting us thus far. Shout out to everybody that follow us on Instagram. That's at The Real Word Ministries Inc. on Instagram. That's at The Real Word Ministries Inc. on Instagram. Shout out to everybody that still comes to our website. That's the www.therealwordministriesinc.org. That's The Real Word Ministries Inc.org. Also check us out on YouTube on www.youtube.com/therealwordtv. That's The Real Word TV on YouTube. One word, The Real Word TV. Also check us out on Facebook at The Real Word 7 on Facebook, and check us out on SoundCloud and podcasts at The Real Word Podcast on Apple Podcasts. That's The Real Word Podcast on Apple Podcasts and The Real Word Podcast on SoundCloud. So shout out to all those platforms. It's growing. But enough about that. Shout out to our guests, guys. How I feel good. How does it feel to be back? Does it feel good?
It definitely feels good. Thank you, Rickard, once again for having me. And hopefully tonight, this will be an excellent time, an excellent platform. Thank you again, Rickard. It's good to be here. Other guests, Caleb, thank you, for being here. God is good.
Caleb?
I appreciate to be back, man. The organization has grown. There we go. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be part of it.
Yeah, so shout out. Our apologies for starting late today. A lot been going on, but shout out to the weather in New York. Like right now, we got a lot of snow, we got a lot of rain. It's cold. But it's December, so that's usually what comes along with it. So that's about it. Current events, guys. Anything?
I think tonight I think we should talk a little bit about police brutality, and our personal history with police brutality, because just this year I've been stopped 3 or 4 times, and just to open up the floor about police brutality and how police are they're quick to get to black folk, and if it was a white neighborhood they might not necessarily be that quick to jump on Caucasian individuals. And I'm not trying to play, the race card, but I think it's very interesting. It's something else. When you're black, you're supposed to be calm. Even though they're all up in your face, you're supposed to be calm. So
let's focus on, you said 3 times this year so far?
Just 3 times this year.
And the times when they did stop you, what exactly happened and what was their reason for stopping you?
So, and the cop, it was a male and a female cop. They looked at me, they asked me for my license. I showed it, of course. And, I kept my hand on the wheel because everybody knows,
so you was driving?
I was driving. I was driving. My sister was in the back seat. And, so I was driving, and then I pulled over as soon as I can. And then I put my hands on, the steering wheel, to make sure that I'm not moving around. And even while I'm moving around, the police officer's saying, hey, stop moving. Hey, stop moving. And then I start panicking. So I show I show my license, whatever. And, they stay there. And I think that they're still there. And I look around and they're gone. So, and they didn't tell me anything of why they pulled me over. All the papers are good, so I really want to know why,
So they didn't say why they pulled you over at all?
There was no reason why. They couldn't tell me why.
So do you think that you was racially profiled against?
Absolutely, I was racially profiled. When you black in this country, it almost seems as if you're guilty before you're proven to be guilty.
And the second time you were pulled over?
The second time, apparently I was speeding, but I wasn't speeding because I was going a little bit over 25. I got pulled over. I stopped. For the second time, I stopped. It took me a while to stop. The first time I stopped almost immediately, but this time I stopped. And it's as if the police officer wanted me to stop in the middle of the street, so I had to pull to the side of the road. You know, that's what you do. You don't just stop in the middle of the street when the police pull you over. And then he checks my license, doesn't ask me any question, doesn't tell me why he pulled me over. So I assumed it was speeding, but it wasn't. He checked my license and let me go. So what is that all about?
And the third time?
The third time I got stopped by the police. I was with maybe two others, and you know the police just started taking pictures
Of you?
just taking pictures. And you know I don't know laws or anything. I'm not a lawyer. I didn't pass the bar, but you know like they start taking pictures of me, and then suddenly I'm like, why are you taking pictures of me? They're like, shut up. You don't know the law. So
wait, they were taking pictures with a camera? Or
they was taking a camera with like the phone camera.
Wow.
You know, so I'm like, hold up, you can't do that. I don't know laws, but I know you can't do that.
Wow.
And it also brings up the point. I'll tell I'm not anti-police. I have uncles that are police officers. I'm a veteran. I'm a military veteran. I served in the Marine Corps for 5 years, from 2011 to 2016. So I've been out there, maybe, I don't know what it is, but they stopped me and there's really no reason why. I don't have no priors. Maybe they think I look like someone that they're looking for, but I don't know. Enough of me.
What about you, D? Have you ever been stopped by the police? Have you ever been pulled over?
I've been pulled over once, and that was because a certain friend of mine, after we had a good Jamaican food on Remsen, I was going to drop him off, and then he threw the garbage out the back window.
Wow.
And there was undercovers. So then we pulled them up, they pulled us over, and then he said, "Oh, you're not supposed to throw garbage out the window." But that was about my only experience with the cops this year. I've been on my P's and Q's,
Oh wow.
So I don't get racial profile. I have not experienced that before. So I don't know anything about that.
When I was younger, when I was in my 20s, I got my first car, I think at like 22, 23, and I used to get pulled over all the time, and they used to like, what are you, a drug dealer? Which car is this? Your sister's car, your mother's car, your girlfriend's car? And they would say things like that, to like piss you off. Like I realized that they used to say certain things to get a reaction out of you. I used to club a lot, so like coming from the club, usually get home late. So what would happen was like sometimes I'll be with ladies, and sometimes I got pulled over a few times growing up. I remember one time I was ironically enough, in undergrad I studied law. Like that was my first degree in pre-law. So I remember coming from school. I was on my way to work because I used to go to school from 2 to 8 and then go to work from 9 to 6 in the morning. So I was getting off from school and going to work, and then I got pulled over by Fort Greene Park. And then the cops was like, "Where you going?" I was like, "I'm going to work." They was like, "Oh, whose car is this?" I was like, "It's my car." They was like, "You sure?" I'm like, "What do you mean am I sure?" I'm like, this is my car." They was like, "Oh, get out the car." I was like, "For what?" It was like, "Get out the car." I'm like, "Why?" And then there was 3 of them. So it was one cop. I guess he was in charge. I guess he was the boss. He told the other cops, pull him out the car. So one cop unlocked the car door. The other one pulled me out. When they pulled me out, they searched the car. They didn't find anything. When they searched the car, they found my CPLR. That's the Civil Practice Law book. So when he saw it, he was like, "What's this?" "Oh, so you studying law? You don't know the law. I'm the law." And then he was like,
wow.
He was like, "You know what? Get out of here." And then they let me go after that. After back and forth, they let me go. And I remember at that time I felt some kind of way about that, And I was like, I was upset. And what got me even more upset is there wasn't much I could really do at the time. So when I went home later on, I told my sister. She was like, file a complaint with the police complaint bureau. So ironically enough, the next day I looked in the paper. I saw people. It happened to 2 Caucasian women, and they sued for millions of dollars. I ended up not suing because they kept pushing, because before you could sue the police, once you put in a complaint, you go for mediation. Basically, you got a mediator, almost like a judge, and they sit you down in a room, and then the cops tell their side of the story, and you tell your side of the story, and then you either resolve it there or you go back and then you sue. So when that happened now, the cops said that they claimed that they feared for their life. That's why they pulled me out the car. I'm like, how could you fear for your life? It's 3 white guys with guns, and I'm a black kid, black college kid.
That's so important that you said that, Rickard, because no matter how petite of a black male or female that you are, you're automatically a threat. And I want to put that out there. You're automatically a threat. I've heard this statement once said that, the less you say, the less of a chance that you're going to be locked up. So don't say much. If they come up to you, be calm, show your ID, comply as much as possible. But remember that you're African American, you're black, As a black man in this country, we like the endangered species. And I think anyone, if you grew up in the inner city at any point in time, you know what I'm talking about. Black folk are being hunted down. And this is not, I'm not trying to make it a race thing, but it is what it is. As I remember the first time I got arrested. The first time I got arrested, I was 9. I was 8 or 9. I got arrested, and you know what they did? They came to my school.
You said 8 or 9?
I was 8 or 9.
Jeez. So what did you do at 8 or 9 to get arrested?
That was it's interesting you say that. I got arrested for stabbing somebody in a school bus. And, they came to get me the next day. And
did you stab him for real?
I really did. I did. I know, we've passed the statute of limitation, but, I did it. I admit I did it. I'm not proud of it. We all have checkered and colored past. They came to my school early in the morning, even before recess. They came, they put me in handcuffs. I remember my skinny wrists hanging from these big, huge handcuffs. And they handcuffed me to the table in the precinct, and I went home. I stayed in the precinct for 8-9 hours, crying, and the police officers would just look at me, and they was not doing anything. And, so police, I have history with the police. So I'm telling you this from personal experience. Yeah. I've had, run-ins with police. And, do I think all cops are bad? No, I'm not saying that, but as a black man, you have to know how to conduct yourself. You have to know how to, a teacher once told me this, a professor once told me this. If your hand is in the lion's mouth, do you calmly stroke the hair of the lion in order for your hand to get out of the lion's mouth, or do you try to pry it out viciously out of the lion's mouth?
Yeah, because if you try to pry it out, then there's a chance that you might hurt yourself, right, in the process.
Or the lion might just eat your whole body, take your whole body.
That too.
So, this police are, don't say anything, even if you think you're trying to defend yourself, even if you think, like, I'm right, because what do they say in the Miranda? Anything you say and do will be used against you in the court of law.
Can and will be.
It can and will be. So you could have said an innocent statement. Like the police are canvassing the neighborhood looking for a shooter. And they say, I don't know who shot. You go and you tell the police, I don't know who was shooting. And the police say, who said it was a shooting? And, and here you are, you locked up. You in Rikers Island, and you doing a bid with something that you didn't do.
A perfect example would be the Central Park.
Central Park 5?
Yeah.
Khalif Browder?
Yeah, Khalif Browder, another perfect example, And the story of Khalif Browder, what makes it so sad is that he was completely innocent, and because he went through such a traumatic event, he ended up killing himself. And not only that, even when he came out of jail, the police would harass him. Like, they would park down the street on his block. Everywhere he went, he got shot after he left jail by some other guys who thought he had money because he was on these TV shows. And he was going through a difficult time. And even after, when his mom tried to sue, they gave her a difficult time, and she died from a broken heart, and this is something that we as black people have gone through for a while. I remember myself, even as a kid, like my dad took me to the picketing one day, marched against the police in Flatbush for what they did to
Abner Louima.
Yeah, when he put the
plunger,
the plunge up his butt and he broke it. I remember as a young kid, me going there with my dad, and I remember asking my dad, like, why are we here? And he was like, yeah, because they beat up a Haitian man, so all the Haitians got to stand up. I remember meeting Wyclef for the first time there, too. And even as a kid, and as I got older, like, I went through a lot of different situations with police. I remember the last time I got arrested, which wasn't too long ago. But it was like a personal situation that got blown out of hand. But even when the cops came, it was like at least 10 cop cars, you know?
Wow.
And they all hopped out on me, and they tried to violate, as always. But it wasn't my first time, so I already knew how to conduct myself. But I remember the very, very first time that happened to me. Another time, because, you know, I was in a situation where someone told, you know, they did something and they told, and, you know, we both went down, and it was what it was. And I remember that situation, in the first few hours in the cell, like, I wanted to commit suicide, to be honest with you, because they lock you in this small cell. Imagine you being there for the very first time in your life, like, never having to deal with that, and you're in a small little cell, and the water fountain is right on top of the toilet, so you're basically drinking toilet water, and the cell smells like dead bodies, basically, because, you know, most of the people that get locked up are, like, mental people, homeless people, and they never clean out those cells, so it smells like rotten flesh, you know, and I was in a cell that was right across from a clock.
Oh, so wow. So you could look at the clock time as time goes by.
Slow. And I'm like behind bars, like literally, and I felt like an animal, and I felt like...
You know, this also brings up the question of 23-hour solitary confinement. What do you think about that?
I'm going to tell you, because I was in that cell for 23 hours. Because the way, all right, but I hope this never happens to any of you, but the way it goes is, say for example, someone makes a complaint, the cops come. Most times the cops don't ask no questions. They just come pick you up, handcuff you, bring you to the station. Depending on the time of day or the day of the week, if it's the weekends, that's the worst, because central booking, processing, that takes hours, so you probably be there for days sometimes, just to see the judge, just for the judge to let you go home. So, sometimes you end up sitting there for like 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. Sometimes you wait till like 3, 4 in the morning till a transport bus comes, like a van comes to bring you to central booking, because nothing happens without the judge. Most time when you in the precinct, they call it the DA, the district attorney. When they call the district attorney will look at the law book, the CPLR or the criminal law book, and they'll look for the highest charge that they could charge you with. And it's up to the DA and the judge to see if those charges gonna stick, you know? So they'll try to, say for example, they charge you with a felony. And then when you go to court, you plead out to a misdemeanor. They give you a RR, release on your own reconnaissance. So after that, you waiting for the transport. I remember both times when I was waiting for the transport, they came, and the backseat of the cop car is real tight. Like, real tight. So
not a lot of space to move.
Not a lot of space to move. And sometimes people die on their way to the precinct, like Freddie Gray. They found him with his head dislocated from his spine.
Oh wow!
And one of the reasons why is because when they drive, they put on country music and they drive like idiots and they don't put seatbelts on.
Oh wow!
So imagine being handcuffed, your feet up and your hands behind your back, and they playing country music real loud and they drive like, hey, so you bumping, and you can't really hold yourself up or hold yourself down, right?
I wanted to say something. You know, it might come out as controversial, you know, but I know I'm not supposed to say this, but you know, I feel like the police, you know, are the modern day KKK. You know,
a lot of them are.
You know, this is the modern day KKK. You know what they do? They mix it with black and Hispanic to try to make you think that it's multicultural or multifaceted, but really they have an agenda. It's to round up blacks. It's no different.
It is a disproportionate amount of African American people within the jail system. There's a guy I know, right? He did 22 years. He was sentenced to 25. He did 22 inside, 3 on the outside. That's another way they get you through probation. Obviously, we know what Meek Mills. He was probation for years. So he was in jail for 22 years, and he said in 22 years, there was sometimes he would work 2 jobs in jail and only make $200 for the month. You know, so it's a way for cheap labor. You know, they call it the prison pipeline, public school to prison pipeline. You know, basically.
Oh, I've heard of that. Where they talk about they create jails and prisons based on the school records of whether or not graduation rates. They look at the school.
Yeah, and the worse you do in school is the more likely that you'll end up in jail.
Wow.
And they also base it on how much parents you grew up with in the house.
Whether it's a single parent household or.
Exactly.
Wow.
Things of that nature.
And you know, and we a lot of times we talk about it and we say, you know, it's a setup, you know, but when you really think about it, it really is.
That's why I call it the system. And the system was designed for you to fail because it was designed by people who are racist.
Yeah.
And that's just a fact.
With different ideologies.
Yeah.
They have their own ways of thinking.
It's just like the 13th Amendment. That what was it? The 13th Amendment that set the slaves free.
It set the slaves free. They
But
even had a Netflix about that. A Netflix
they
documentary.
Said it doesn't really set you free. It said that you're free unless you break the law. Meaning, once you break the law, you're a slave again.
You're a slave.
That's why on your back literally says property of the state.
There you go.
You become property. You know.
They even give you a number too.
Yeah. If you're in jail and you're caught masturbating, then you could get a ticket for destroying state property.
Wow. 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 Caleb, I want to ask Caleb, what do you think about all of this? You just in the cut.
Like
I'm learning. I'm learning right now. This is crazy to me.
Yeah, because, you know, you put it like this, you know, a cop would stop you. They would say something or do something to irritate you. And then next thing you know, and they're already in their mind, they're thinking about arresting you. You didn't do nothing, but they're already thinking about arresting you. Next thing you know, you're being charged with resisting arrest, with assaulting a cop, and yet you didn't do anything.
But there is a quota for them to have a certain arrest. I know it was a Haitian cop. He was a Haitian cop that grew up in Flatbush, this Haitian guy, and he was trying to fight the oppression. And one of the things that he was saying was that it is the quota that they put out for them to arrest a certain amount of people that causes the cops to go into these neighborhoods that they're not from and causes them to arrest people at a disproportional rate. And because of this quota, sometimes they lock people up for all type of foolishness. You understand what I'm saying? Like stop and frisk, you know, like stop and frisk was something made popular. Recently, former Mayor Bloomberg, he's running for president. He went to the CCC, the Christian Cultural Center, and he apologized for stop and frisk so he could get the black community to vote for him.
Wow. And yet, he doesn't realize the damage that he did to the black community in his time as mayor. You know, you now admitting because now you want the blacks to vote for you, but yet your track record says another thing. Even with Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. But what is it? What did they say about blacks? Super predators? Yeah. So you see, it's this generational thing, and you know, even till today, it's almost 2020. We're in December. We're in the first week of December 2019, and yet we still going through this systematic oppression. And you know, whether or not we realize it or not, whether we want to say we're affected by it or we're not affected, but it's real.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that we go through as people. You know, I think it's unfortunate. And I think that is something that, I think it's the lack of unification amongst our people, you know, because the way that they handle us, I don't think they really handle other people like that, because the other people are organized, as in we don't really have any leaders that will stand up against this oppression or to lobby, and we have very little political power.
I think, you know, your skin is a weapon.
Yeah.
You know, your skin is a weapon. You know, your skin, just your presence, just you being around. You know, especially last year, this year, you know, whites are calling the cops on, because the reason why they do that is because they know you black, and the police coming, they know that there's a chance that the situation is going to escalate, and you probably going to be a victim out of it.
What about recently with the lady, you heard about the lady who was in her house, and then she opened the door for the cops, and they shot and killed her in her house?
or was it like Amber Geiger? Was that case with the African American?
No.
That was not it.
Amber Geiger was with the black guy.
Oh yeah. So it was a white lady.
Yeah, it was a white lady cop that killed the black guy in his house, but then it was a black lady that got killed, that got shot in her house by the cops. Like, they came for disturbance, and her door was open. Like, she left her door open. Because, you know, sometimes, like, in the southern states, it's hot. They leave their door open. Cops came in, they seen her, and they just shot her. And she died.
And, you know, it's something about what you just said is because for people who are carrying guns, cops are very trigger happy. How is it that I have a gun? Like I said, I was in the military. I've carried handguns. I've carried M16. I've carried machine guns. You have to have a certain composure to you when you're carrying a weapon. Because I know that if I fire a round, I need to know what I'm shooting at and what lies beyond the target. Meaning that I'm not going to shoot at that person if the bullet might go through that person and injure someone else. They teach you that. That's one of the basic things you learn when you're on qualification, rifle qualification week. And yet police officers, they go through their training, and yet, you know, it sort of brings up the point. Do police need to be retrained? Do they need more training? Is the police academy training sufficient?
I think a lot of them do, because you see some of these fat cops out here, it don't look like they, it don't look like
wow.
It looks like they need to work back out, you know? It looks like they just did what they had to do to pass, and then once they got the job, they just sit around and eat donuts all day. Because some of them are big. Like, you ever seen?
Oh, absolutely.
Cops,
like they're morbidly obese.
Yeah, like they're out of shape.
And yet they're getting coffee and they're getting donuts, and they double parked on the streets, and you're just looking at them like, wow, this is what our taxpayer dollars are going towards.
Yeah.
Like, we pay for this.
And a lot of cops.
You pay for this, Caleb. You pay for this, Rickard.
A lot of cops, they also extort local businesses. Like, as in, like, they go to local businesses and get free things. I remember when I was younger, I was working at McDonald's, and they would send the precinct big boxes of burgers. And I'm like, why are you giving the precinct so much burgers? They're like, so if there's a crime in the McDonald's, they'll come faster.
Wow. Wow.
Like, if they don't do it, then they won't protect the McDonald's. Wow.
So that's sort of like, hey, you know, you giving us burgers or whatever, you know, we'll take care of you in return.
Exactly.
And that's not right. Exactly. You know, I don't, like I said, I don't have no problem personally with any police officer. I think most of them are well-to-do. They're trying to make a living. You know, they're trying to protect us. But there's some cops, they have no business in uniform. They have no business carrying a weapon. And like I said, I have uncles that are police officers. You know, I've been around the military my whole life, so I know what it means to be in uniform.
Would you be a cop to change your narrative?
If I was I don't. It's funny you say that, because I tried to be a cop, but then I backed out in the end.
Why?
I backed out in the end because I can't do it. I can't be evil. I can't do wickedness. I have to call
evil,
it.
Like, what do you mean?
By evil, I mean I can't skirt-tail the law to get my ways. I don't know if that makes sense. And anyone listening, you probably understand what I mean. Meaning that right is right, wrong is wrong. And I'm not going to try to, you know, I screwed up and I'm going to try to, like, you know, make myself, oh, I didn't do it. You know, you're a human being. Just because you wear the badge, it doesn't make you any different.
Most recently, you guys heard about the girl that got caught skipping school by the detectives, and they put her in the back of the police van.
Oh, and they took turns. I definitely heard about that. Yeah. And you know, they got off. From what I heard, they got off.
I think they got hit with they pled guilty. And they got hit with misdemeanors. And the girl, she made herself public because she was outraged at what happened. She said the justice system's a joke, and
it felt her.
Yeah.
But you this is what you got to understand. I want to say this clearly. The reason why
this was in Brooklyn.
Yeah, the reason why they didn't convict those cops was because they're police officers. How does it look trying to put police officers in jail or prison? They'll be a #1 target. Am I right or wrong? Think about it. You get convicted, now you're doing 5, 10, 15 years. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, let's look past this. You know, we're going to charge you, but it's not going to be how it would be if I did something like that, or someone else did something like that.
they claim that she consent to it, but she was like, how can she consent when it's two scary cops and she only weighed 100 pounds and she was handcuffed? So I guess they had a handcuff behind the van and they took turns. So I feel like that's an unfortunate situation. Like I feel like it is very intimidating when you are young and then you are faced with these people, because then they start making threats like, hey, you want to go home, right? You want to go home, right?
Yeah.
And we seen that in the movies, right? When they see us, like we saw that where they was telling the kids, just say what we tell you to say so you can go home, and it's usually that way. Like they'll put you in a room, they'll put your other friend in a room, they'll tell you that your friend told and you'll believe it, and then they'll tell your friend that you told and they'll believe it, and then they'll turn you guys against each other, and then they start making you make up a story. Because they did it to me. That's how I know that they do it for real.
So you see the underhanded tactics I'm talking about that I can't do. You know, I'm not gonna arrest someone for $275 like some of these police officers. I'm not gonna do it. Why? Because I know this is carrying you. The reason why they arrest, let me say this very, very clearly. The reason why they arrest people, African American primarily and Hispanic, for misdemeanor offenses like a joint, a roach, or hopping a turnstile is because so when they finally shoot you, they can look back and say, look, this person smokes weed. This person, you know, is a fare evader.
They did that with Trayvon Martin.
They bring up your past.
Even the cop that killed him, it was a neighborhood watch guy, and he was like he was high, so he must
There
have
you
been
go.
aggressive.
Because according to them, blacks are always high. Blacks are always carrying firearms. Blacks are inherently dangerous.
Yeah.
Blacks are, like Hillary said, super predators. And you know, and that's why they make sure to arrest you for minor things, so that when you do move, when you do get an attitude and they fire off a couple of rounds at you, they'll say, look, he was this. He smoked weed. We stopped him before. We know this guy.
Yeah.
It's really to defend themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one time. This gonna sound funny. My dad, he had ambitions to be a chief, because you know Haitians, like Haitian people, they like power. So he went. At one point, a bunch of Haitians was going to the police precinct to become auxiliary cops, like those volunteer cops that just walk around.
Yeah, like the renter cops. They got the little wooden baton.
Yeah, they
ain't got no gun.
And they get a bulletproof vest. So my dad felt like he wanted to do that. And then one day he came home, he was like, "Yo, do you know your pictures in the precinct?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "They know you. They told me that they pull you over all the time in the Black Infinity." I was like, man, like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was just laughing. But it was a time in Canarsie, bro, I used to get pulled over all the time, at least once a month. And it got to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm not even going to drive anymore.
Wow.
And after a while, I just took the tents off my car. Because at the time, I had tents. And I was like, you know what, obviously I'm being profiled. Obviously these cops feel away. They're going to try to get me to do something and probably blow my brains out. And I said that to them one time. I said, yo, so you trying to get me to react so you could violate me, right? And then they was like, what do you mean? One time I got pulled over by a cop because I was coming from the club when I was younger and I had no shirt on. So I had no shirt on, and he was like, why you don't have a shirt on? I'm like, because it's summertime and it's hot. And then he was like, where you live? I said, you got my ID. My address is on my ID. And I was 2 blocks away from my house. And then he just looked confused because he was just like, the hell? And then he was like, get out of here, go. And then, like, you know, just their attitude sometimes in the way they treat you and the way they react, because they act like it's their neighborhood when really it's your neighborhood.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. Most of the cops that encounter African American and Hispanic and whites and Caucasians, they don't live in those neighborhoods. So they don't care about you. I don't know how to put that. They don't live. If I'm patrolling in Brownsville and I live in Mill Basin,
Long Island.
I live in Long Island, I live in Secaucus, New Jersey. Why do I care? Why do I care about you, really, to be honest? Put yourself in their shoes. Why do I care? My thing is to get as many arrests as I can, to write as many tickets as I can, and go home at the end of the day.
Yeah, and get promoted.
And if I have to fire a weapon, then I guess I gotta fire a weapon. I'll call back up.
Yeah. I think I think it's unfortunate, especially now, you know, when you have kids, you look at the situation much differently, and you would hope that like things change. I think us, like I was saying before, like we need to get our stuff together, because the reason why there's not a lot of blacks on the police force is, like you said, like we get targeted at a very young age, and then we grow up and now we got records, so it becomes harder for us to get the police officer jobs. Plus, a lot of people don't want to become police because of the stigma attached to it. You know, they don't want to be seen as a snitch, you know, and things of that nature. And so it's an unequal balance, you know. At least if it was mixed in, then it would be a little bit more fair. But, you know, the fact that it's not, and that the scale is so unbalanced, then it comes off that way, you know.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of white people that do get killed by police as well, you know. It does make the news more often when it's a black person, but it does happen to white people as well.
I'm not trying to say it doesn't, but you know, why is it predominantly African American? Why is it predominantly Hispanic? You know, there has to be something, and look, it's exactly what you just said about unification, black unification. You know, if you have a business, I won't support you, yet we both black. I know you. You're my friend. You have a business, I'm not supporting you. You don't support me when I have my business. See, that's why we falling down. And, you know, it's real talk.
What do you think, Caleb? What's your thoughts?
I feel as if it's really simple. It's just support. We just got to support and be one. Really be one. Because if we stand together, it's going to be tough to knock us down.
You know, it's funny you say that, because what do you think about the Nipsey Hussle situation and what happened over there? Because I think this is definitely related to what we're talking about, how we don't support each other and how...
Honestly, when I was younger, when I was like maybe 20, 21, I went to Vinny's Style. Shout out to Vinny's, downtown Brooklyn, located on Flatbush Extension. I went to Vinny Styles and I used to buy some nudie jeans. Like back then, they were very expensive for no reason. You know, I would never buy them now, but back then it was the cool thing to do. And I used to shop there a lot. We used to call it 550 shopping, like when you drop a lot of money on shopping for no reason. Like now I know better. Because I used to go there so often, they gave me a mixtape with the clothes I used to buy, and the mixtape ended up being Bullets Don't Have No Name Volume 2. That was one of Nipsey's mixtapes, and I popped it in the car, and I said, listen to that mixtape, and he was talking about the marathon. He was like, yo, it's a hustle, it's a marathon, nobody's going to give you nothing, so go out there and get it. And I was like, yeah, he's right.
Wow.
And from there, I was just motivated. Like, he was one of the driving forces for me while I was in college to help me graduate, to help me go further. And then when he was like, ownership, you got to start your own business, and ownership, like, that's what helped me to start my own business, and I kept pushing it. So I've been on Nipsey's timing. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of people did not really know what he was doing, I guess, because he wasn't like he never really sold out.
Yeah.
Other people.
He's more underground, sort of like that.
He wasn't really commercial, and he didn't do gimmicks. Like, he didn't beef with people for no reason. Like the game, he didn't really flashy like these other people. He didn't really club like that. He did what he had to do. He was taking care of his family. He was low key. I remember when I first went to Cali a couple of years back, maybe like 3-4 years ago. The first thing I did was stop off at the Marathon store on Crenshaw and Slauson, and I took a lift there. And I hopped out Dolly on Crenshaw and Slauson in the middle of the day, and I seen the homies. I seen his brother. I seen his father. I seen all of them. But I was like, yo, where's Nip? They was like, yo, he not here, but he pops in and out.
Yeah.
But back then, it was less people on Instagram. So when I used to put the hashtag the marathon continues, his manager used to at me. So that's how when I popped out, like I seen the manager, I seen all of them. So I knew that if someone had bad intentions, it wouldn't be too hard for them to get to him.
Yeah.
But the fact that...
because he made himself available. He was in and out.
Exactly. But the fact that he kept growing and he probably seen himself the same, like, I guess he was a danger to himself in that sense, you know? But I feel like a lot of people didn't appreciate him until he was gone. I think they call that necro something. Where
they love you more when you're dead than
like
you are alive.
We have the bad habit of celebrating the dead and loving the dead, you know. Even us right now with the real word, you know, like we're doing a lot of stuff that Nipsey did, obviously. But there's a lot of people that that don't really join in. I remember for the turkey drive, I hit up the Crips from Canarsie, you know, because I'm from Canarsie. I grew up in Canarsie. I knew a lot of Crip dudes. Shout out to the Honey Fox. Shout out to the G Stones and GS Nuts. Holla at me. So I hit him up. I was like, yo, like, we doing this turkey giveaway. What up? Like, you know, I hit up my other boy. Like, I believe he did 12 or 13 years. I was like, yo, holla at your peoples. You know, I always see you posting all these people. Most of the people that you post that's dead right now that got killed was people that we all grew up with, you know. Rest in peace to Paul. Rest in peace to Peter. Rest in peace to, what's the guy's name? Shoot, it's gonna come back to me. But rest in peace to all the fallen soldiers, you know. And it's crazy. I was like, yo, let's do something positive for the hood where they could see us doing something positive. He said, all right, cool. One thing I give him, at least he shared the flyer, because some people won't even share the flyer. They won't even do that much. But he was like, yeah, I'm going to see what's up. I'm going to see what we could do. And Crip, community restoration and progress, blood, brotherly love, opposing oppression and destruction. That's blood. So that was the original basis of these situations. Same thing with the Black Panthers, same thing, like somebody came and they unified these people so that they could do something positive and so that they could protect people in their neighborhood. Even the mafia, the story goes that it was a woman that daughter got raped and she was like, my daughter. And the men came together, they organized, and they got the rapists, they killed them, they took justice into their own hands. Even in The Godfather, he was a man that protected the people from other people, and if they needed favors, he looked out. You know, and the people that wanted to continue working with him, they kept working with him. So, you know, like, we could do the same thing. I was telling my boy, like, yo, like, we should do some Black Mafia stuff, not on some violence type stuff, but on some where we unified and helping each other out, because there's people that need it. There's people that need jackets, people that need clothes, people that need food. Like, if we all come together, we put our money together, we can help each other. Like, the dollar circulates for 28 days in the Chinese and Jewish neighborhood, but only for 8 hours in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
So, at the same time, like, we're suffering. But when you hit these dudes up, they don't care about that. They too busy flashing Audemars and red bottoms and all this foolishness. Like, you online flashing all these diamonds and all these jewels and all these
name brand
stuff. That's cool, because me myself, I could fall victim to it, but I give back. So at the same time, like, you flashing these things, and I'm telling you, donate $20, and you can't even donate $20. Like,
yeah.
What is that?
It's sort of like in the church. It's sort of like in the church. You know, nobody want to give, but yet you can spend $30, $40, $50 on a movie ticket.
On the outfit to come to church.
An outfit to come to church. You see how it all wraps. It all wraps back to disunity in the Black community, and how we need to, like Rickard said, we need to police our own. We need to unify each other. We need to get together and say, hey, you know, let's take back our communities. You know, let not the police us, but let's police our own.
Real talk, bro. I got 5,000 friends on Facebook. I got 3,000 followers on the public figure page. I got another 1,000 followers on my private page. So, and then I got another 30,000 on Instagram, another 20,000 on LinkedIn. Imagine if all those people only gave $5.
Oh, $1 maybe.
$20.
$2, $3.
I could fund the whole company.
Wow.
And we have a proven track record, you know? And these people know me. I grew up with them. You understand what I'm saying? Everything is transparent. Everything is transparent. But yet, there's people that still not supporting. But yet, people still talking about Nipsey. You know? Maybe, God forbid, they're not on wood. You know, maybe when I transcended, like, damn, like, this guy was really doing it. Like, let's put up murals of him now. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's more sexier than, like, being that next to me and be like, I'm gonna hold you down. Most of the time when I do these initiatives, it'll be like 2 or 3 people that help me, you know? And shout out to the people that do donate, because there are people that support, but there's way more people that can support. And the messed up part is, I support a lot of people, bro. That's real talk. Even in the church, like, it was this girl, I used to hit her up to come and support me, because I helped her build her career, you know, and I don't really take credit for things like that, but I helped her out, you know. And when she took off to wherever she feel like she's at, I'll text this girl, like, yo, you want to come to my church to support an event? She don't even answer.
Oh, wow.
She didn't answer for a whole year. But when it was time for her to throw an event at my church. Hey, bro, can we come and throw an event at your church?
Wow.
Like people move like that, and that's church people.
Yeah. Christians, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So I remember last week, and I'm gonna say this publicly. He could feel some type of way if he watched this last week, right? There was a guy, mind you, this guy drives a Benz. His wife works a full-time job. He works a full-time job. So this guy comes, and we're giving out turkeys to the community for people that need it. And this guy comes up to me like, yo, save me a turkey. I'm looking at him like, I just ignore him. I keep doing what I'm doing. So he comes later like, yo, where's the turkey I told you to save me? I said, where's the turkey that you told me to save you? I'm like, yo, this turkey's for the community and people that can't afford it, or for members of the church that when we have extra, we give to them. You understand? But it's for those that need it more than those that just want it.
Yeah.
It's the difference between needing and wanting. You understand?
This person want it, but they don't need it. So
he goes, this is how you gonna do me? This is how you gonna do me? I looked at him like, I go, this is a nice jacket. Where you got this jacket from? He goes, oh, you gave me this jacket last year. Because last year I gave 300 coats to the community and I gave half to my church. So he had on the same jacket that I gave him last year. And I was like, yo, you know what's crazy? Last year I gave you that jacket. And then a few minutes after I gave you that jacket, I was calling you for something. You act like you ain't hear me. You walked away. And now you here a year later asking for a turkey. And then he was like, all right. And then he just walked off.
Yeah, Rickard, it's funny you said, there's something in the black community. We don't like to see one another grow.
It's sad. It's sickening. I just don't like it.
If you're doing good, I'm not happy for your success. If I'm doing good, you're not happy for my success. And likewise.
It's terrible.
And that's why I had to move out the hood, to be honest with you guys.
Yeah, you live, pretty much you live in the burbs. I'm not going to where you live, but you live, it's a pretty good neighborhood.
I had to get away, you understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, bro, like, they don't want to see you make it. Like, it's like everyone loves you when you're on your way up. But then once you hit a certain plateau, people start to feel away.
Yeah.
I never understood that. Like, I started this ministry in 2015. That's when I first became a youth leader. So it's 4 years later, and all this came after that, you know. And when I first started, when it was like maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 people coming to our events, people was cool with it. Like, oh, this is cute. I like what you're doing. Oh, it's nice. But then once you reach a certain plateau, this guy thinks he's all of that. He thinks he's better than everybody else. And I feel like I still treat people the same way. I don't feel like I keep people around me. I don't have any bodyguards. Most of the time I'm sitting by myself. You know why? Because most people think I switched up, so they switched up. And so I sit around alone. You know, if I'm not with my family or like people that I grew up with, most of the time I'm just by myself. And it's sad that it's that way. And even the people that like you grow up looking up to, once you reach to a certain point where they're at, you're like, wow, like this is how they move, this is how they act, you know?
You see their real colors.
Yeah, like growing up, I used to look up to pastors and elders and people like that in the church until I grew up and I became an elder myself, and I started to know pastors personally, and I started looking at them like wow, like.
It's not what I thought.
Yeah, and then when you sit in committee with these people and you walk out and then you gotta look at them and you like. It's hard to look at them the same way. Yeah. And for me, growing up the way I grew up, it's hard for me to fake it. You understand? Like, if I don't like you, I'm not gonna fake it. I'm just gonna keep my distance. I'm just gonna be like, all right.
Yeah, there's a lot of pretend. You know, someone doesn't like someone, you know, but they try to act like, you know, they still like them. You know, there needs to be honesty. There needs to be transparency in everything that the black and Hispanic community does.
Yeah, that's true. I second that.
Because people always talking about, oh, we need a black company. We need a black-owned company that's helping the community.
But yet, if there was a black company, you wouldn't support it.
At all. This is a black-owned company, though.
There you go. So you see where we have fallen. Where we have fallen as a people. You know, I'm coming after you. You coming after me. What you said. You know why you gotta look at me up and down? We African American. We black. Yet if it was a white company, if it was Calvin Klein, you would support them.
Look at all the racist companies that said racist things that they still...
Gucci.
and that's recent. And you see all these,
Yes,
and you see all these rappers.
We still
wearing
support Gucci though.
Tommy Hilfiger, Timberland, like all of them. They
Yeah,
all
we're
said
you
something
know,
like-
we really lost our way. You know, we've lost our way a long time ago, and you know, it's really sad. You know that it's almost 2020, and yet we're still the same. We're growing up, but yet we still haven't grown up.
2020.
Getting
was so
older,
blind.
but not growing up.
And that's the unfortunate thing. I mean, I feel like maybe in time, you know, back then we had leaders. We had Malcolm, we had Martin, we had Marcus Garvey, we had Medgar Evers. You know, we had real leaders. You know, the Reverend Al Sharpton. Well, that's debatable, but you know.
Yeah, definitely debatable.
Farrakhan, like he was a strong leader, but you know his health is not as good anymore.
Yeah, he's in his 80s. He's up there.
Yeah, so he fell back a little bit, but even him, he received a lot of scrutiny and pushback, a lot of scrutiny, and he was saying a lot of true things, but the way he said it was so blunt that it hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know,
And he was called anti-Semitic, and you know he's racist. You know, and you know I'm not supporting him. I'm not, but I'm trying to say, you know, if he's speaking for the black community, you know, we should at least give him a chance.
yeah. Who do you guys feel like is the leader of black people right now?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. You know, honestly, you know,
Who rules the nigga kingdom right now?
you could go first, Caleb, because I got to think about this. I got to meditate upon this for a second or two.
I can't think of anyone.
Most people saying it's Jay-Z because he holds a lot of influence and he has a lot of money.
He's not stepping up though.
No, I wouldn't say it's Jay-Z. You know, Jay-Z, yes, he's got money, but he still has to take a back seat to a Roger Goodell. Is that his name? Roger Goodell?
Roger Goodell.
He has to take a back seat because it's only so much you can do.
But the thing is, when they needed to look good, they went to Jay-Z.
Absolutely, because they know he's in the black community. But I wouldn't say that Jay-Z is a leader of black. I think, you know, this is the problem that you brought up. Black, there's no leaders. Our leaders, literally, the ones that were, they either died, they were assassinated, or they've just fallen off the planet, you know. And here goes Donald Trump.
I don't even talk about that.
And we don't even want to bring up that man.
The thing about the black leaders back in the days, they put other people before themselves. As in, they was willing to die for this. Like, literally, and they ended up dying for this.
Yeah.
You know? There's no one really nowadays willing to die for this. You understand what I'm saying?
They don't want to die because, you know, they care so much about their life, and, you know, but if you really believe something and you really in your heart believe something, you will die for it. You will do everything that you can. It's like a person that believes in God and has a unwavering faith in God. You're gonna go the distance. You know, you're going to pray, you're going to read your Bible, you know, you're going to do what you can. So,
the only person that's trying in the black community that nobody's taking serious is Kanye. Talking about he's trying to run
Kanye.
for president soon, but nobody's taking him serious because it's Kanye.
I think he is doing a big culture shift right now.
Wow.
Like he did a real 360, and I think even with his Sunday service, he started really small in his backyard, and you know, he bought a whole big ranch land out in wherever he bought
Wyoming?
it. Yeah, exactly, in Wyoming, to build his own village or his church or whatever he's trying to build out there. And, you know, a lot of big religious leaders are inviting him over. So he does have the ear of the people, you know, and he's using God to do it. So I guess time will tell if his intentions are good. But the leader, I believe, can't only be social, they also got to be political at the same time. And they have to be strong, as in, like, unapologetically black man. Like, this is what I stand for. Like, this is for my people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't think Obama was ever that.
No. I don't think Obama was for black people, to be
I
honest.
don't think he ever was fully pro-black.
I think Obama was just the middleman, you know? He played the middle very well. As in, like, he wasn't trying to ruffle any feathers. He was just trying to, like,
Get on board.
Trying to go home.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you
wow.
it's almost like somebody at a job, you know, like it don't matter what job they're doing. They could be a doctor, they could be a lawyer, they could be a social worker. Like, yeah, their job is important, but they come in for the check and they just trying to go home. Like, yo, I'm not trying to deal with this. Like, just cut that check. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be who you want me to be for these 8 hours, but after I clock out, like, I don't want to hear none of this anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Obama, he still got the influence and the power to be a black leader, but he's someplace playing golf, mind his business. He's not trying to get involved in none of this. Like, he's not trying to get involved in none of this. Like, it's real talk, though.
It is.
Even now, where he's not being held back by the presidential office, you never hear him speak out against nothing.
He's not. Because now it's like, you know, he left his platform. The platform he once had.
He still got a big platform. Black people still respect Obama. Like, people was deriding Obama.
Yeah.
She went and wrote a book, but that's just, you know, a money grab. That's an easy way to make money. You write a book, and then once it get published, you get your royalties. You get to go and tour, sell books, sign book signings. Then you get paid for speeches. These people make millions of dollars on just speeches.
I have a question for you. It's a very important question. Do you think the office of the presidency is something that they actually let them rule and become president, or it's just an agenda? Meaning that they're just there to fulfill an agenda of a higher power.
They're there to fulfill the agenda for a higher power.
Yeah. The president of the United States, that job is a job in a corporation. Yeah. As in, that's a seat that's not really for the public. That's just someone that they put in front to run the company. The company being the country. Because if you think of any company, you know, they have a president or CEO.
Yeah.
They have an assistant president or CEO. They have a board, but they call it a cabinet. You have a secretary, a treasury, you know, just like any other company.
Yeah.
But just like
executive, judicial, legislative,
exactly.
It's all within.
But then just like every other company, you might have your CEO, your president, or whatnot, but then you got board members that no one really sees. That stays in the back.
But they pulling the strings.
Exactly.
And he can't pass a law without others agreeing.
They're the ones that really push the buttons. And it's something called super PACs, right? Where rich people come together, they create a company, they put money in, and then they push people. I've worked on a political campaign one time. Basically, here's what the guy did, right? There was no one running as a Republican during that race for city council. If you're smart, you probably figure this out. So instead of running as a Republican, he ran as a Democrat. And so he had a lot of money because he had Republican type money. So he ran as a Democrat, and in the primaries, he had the most money. So once he beat out every other Democrat, because he had enough money to hire people to canvass there, go out, put the flyers out, put the bumper stickers, push the call numbers, knock on doors, because that's what we was doing. And he had the money to bankroll it. So he just kept spending money until he basically outspent everyone else. And then once he did that, you know, other people that was really going for change, they didn't have the money to keep up with him, you know? Like one lady, she went to John Jay, and she was like one of those like hippie naturalist, boots on the ground type people, but she had to campaign for herself because she didn't have the money. This guy had a whole office with multiple rooms and war rooms, and he just sat back chilling.
Wow.
He's still city council till this day.
Wow.
And he's been city council since I first graduated college.
Wow.
So, you know, and once he beat all the other ones in the primary, there wasn't really anyone to go against him because there was no Republicans running. So he won. So that being me understand politics, it's not about none of that. It's about money. You know? Even in church, think about it. If you think about it in church, the elder, most of the time the people that's appointed to elder are either people that has some kind of influence with the people, someone that's been there for long, or someone that has a good job so they have a lot of money and they tied a lot to the church. Once they tied a lot to the church and they kiss up to the right people or whatever they do, they give them positions. Like, yeah, take
and
this.
It's very interesting you said that, Rickard, because what do you think about the 501c3 and the taxation, how the church don't pay tax, and, you know, there's so many dollars?
I mean, I'm a 501c3. I don't pay taxes. So what you want me to say?
Wow, you want to talk about that?
So, I mean, when you really understand how it goes and the way the game is, here's how it is, right? You guys play sports, right?
Yeah.
Before you play any sport or any game, right? You establish the rules before you play the game. You're like, this is the rules of the game. You know, you have a referee or someone that designates if anyone breaks the rules, you're penalized for it, or you just stop playing. Like, yo, you cheating, I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
But imagine playing a game that you have no idea what the rules are, and as you play in the game, you figure out the rules.
Wow.
That's how they move it. You understand what I'm saying? And it's either you jump in the game and you figure it out for yourself, or people teach you, or you stay out and you just in the stands watching the other people play the games, or you learn the game yourself. I chose to jump in and watch. Like sometimes I sit back and I just watch. Sometimes I sit back in committee, I just watch.
So do you feel like a lot of us African Americans are spectators?
A lot of
in
us
everything, whether it's politics or anything, it's just
that's why we
just
last
spectators.
Place,
Wow.
we never chose to join.
Wow.
Like we're entertainers, we're like the court justice, we're the clowns.
Wow.
We're just here to make everybody laugh.
Yeah, we're entertainment pretty much.
We're entertainment.
We don't have the red nose.
And not a lot of us is going into STEM, science, technology, engineering, and
wow.
medicine and mathematics. Not a lot of us is going into that.
Wow.
We're rapping, basketball, and the thing about sports is, out of thousands of kids that's playing sports, there's only like 30 to 40 spots in the whole league. So that's only like 1% of all those kids is making it, and they don't let you know that. So in your mind, you're like, I'm gonna make it to the league, not thinking that it's a 1%. You got a better chance of just finishing college and getting a regular job.
Yeah.
You understand? And most people in the league only play for like 5 to 10 years, anyways, and then most
and
of them
out.
go broke in 4 years after the league because they have no financial counseling or financial understanding. Me, I learned the game. Like sometimes I just sit in the room like a fly on the wall, and I sit and I learn the game.
Wow, it really is a game. It really is. They're playing with us.
Yeah, and that's why when you're fortunate to find someone that's going to put you onto game, you soak it up. And you go out there and you do it
so
on your own.
You just sit back and just pick their brain to try to find as much as you can.
I soak up the game, bro. I soak up the game. I done hung out with everybody from politicians to pastors to everybody. Sometimes I just sit in the room.
Lawyers.
Everybody, yeah. Everybody.
Police officers, wow.
Everybody. Sometimes I just sit in the room. I just soak up the game. Yeah. I just sit in the room. Like tomorrow I got a prayer breakfast at the Brooklyn Borough President office. All the prominent leaders of religious organizations from the Jewish synagogue leaders to the leader of the CCC, A.R. Bernard. They're all gonna be in the same room. I'm just gonna sit there and just watch and listen. Just soak up the game. I'm probably gonna take pictures and throw it on the gram, and people gonna be like, "Oh my God, she's doing it again!"
Wow, wow.
You understand what I'm saying? I just soak the game up. You understand? Like you talking about 501c3. I got a 501c3 since last year. When I told people I'm gonna run a non-for-profit, like you gonna run a non-for-profit? There's no money in non-for-profits. What are you talking about? The NFL's a non-for-profit. The NCAA is non-for-profit. Roger Goodell's making $50 million a year. What are you talking about? He runs a non-for-profit.
Do you think one of the main reasons why you did a 501c3 is because of community? You care more, like the community and reaching out?
But at the same time, there's a lot of benefits about it. It gets you in certain rooms, like the room we're going to be in tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't get in that room.
You see how you thinking less about money and more about the work that it takes.
Your network helps increase your net worth. So as long as I know the right people, I could get the right money.
Wow.
Like last week, I got a guy that called me all the way from Washington. He said if I come up with 150, he's going to give me a line of credit of $1 million.
Oh, wow.
So, you understand what I'm saying? Like, this is not a game. This is not a joke. But at the same time, I know if I get $1 million, I could really help people. You know, I could put people in position. I could give myself a salary, leave my job, and really dedicate myself to this.
Yeah.
If we was really united, I could come up with 150 in a day. Because Jews do it, bro.
Yeah.
They use their bar mitzvah money, 20 here, 20 there, 50 there, 50 here. We up. Here's $1 million. Go flip it, bro. Here's $1 million. Go flip it, bro.
But when it comes to black communities, black people, it's disunity. It's, you trying to steal from me, I'm trying to steal from you, and we're trying to find ways to take money out of each other's pockets.
And they're giving you 5 years to pay that back. You don't think you could flip $1 million in 5 years? Yes or no?
Of course.
Of
course.
5 years is
That's a lot of time. If you know what you're doing, a year or two.
But that's what I'm talking about. But like 501c3, bro.
Wow. I learned a lot.
I'm in school right now.
But yeah, man, I guess that's enough time because we got things we got to do. So we close out. Closing thoughts?
Keep God first, no matter what you do, keep God first,
Amen.
and find God, find Jesus Christ. Thank you.
Amen.
After God, just do what you love, man. Support is key. I tell people that all the time. Support is key. It's free. You don't gotta do nothing. Just click that like button, click that share. It don't take long. Feel me? Like at a certain point, I used to really think about it. I'm like, why am I sharing this? I have nothing to do. But then I'm like, you know what? Let me just share it. Now it's just spread love, just support. It's key.
I just want to leave you out with one quote from Nas. He said, "In the land of the blind, the man with one eye is the king."
And try to open up that third eye if you can. So that's the real word today. We thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Shout out to everybody that's been watching. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting. Shout out to everybody that has helped us to get this far. Emmanuel, you want to close out with a prayer?
I'll close out with a prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for Rickard. I thank you for Caleb. Father, I thank you for this opportunity that we had, this platform that we had to talk about many different topics and, but most importantly, to lift you up, Lord. Father, thank you. We hope that our conversation was edifying to you. We hope that it built up the listener and that they will go out and do great and mighty and marvelous works. And we do this and we thank you in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen, amen, amen.
Thank you.
Shout out. Holla at me if you want to invest in the real word, man. We making moves. 2020 is coming next year. We can make $1 million moves if you guys just come together. It's called crowdfunding for a reason. So put that energy behind us, and we could go. Sky's the limit. Sky's not even the limit because they hit the moon. So hey, holla at us. Good night.
Good night. Good night.